One Piece Become the Pirate King is the first official One Piece video game, originally released in Japan on July 19, 2000 under the name From TV Animation One Piece, Me za se Kaizoku-O. It was developed by Soft Machine and published by Bandai. The game is a loose adaptation of the events of the East Blue Saga.
Wonderswan!
Become the Pirate King is a turn-based strategy game, and it's the first of 6 One Piece games that were released on the Wonderswan console, with the console itself being another Japan-exclusive. This game, however, was the only game released for the original console and is the only game that is in black and white. Gameplay mainly revolves around path building, with players laying tiles across various sea maps. These tiles must connect in order for players to reach objectives like islands and enemy crews.
Shambles.
One of the Wonderswan's unique selling points was the ability to rotate the console and play games both vertically and horizontally, and this feature is a big part of the game, as you'll find out when it comes to laying tiles and planning out moves. Tiles come in 4 basic formations: straights, elbows, T's and crosses. These can be rotated clockwise or counterclockwise in 90-degree intervals. If a path is white, it can be replaced by a new one, while if a path is black, it's permanent. There is a limit of 5 tiles in your pool at any given time. Once you have laid a tile down, you choose your next one from a randomly shuffled choice of 5 new tiles. Exploration relies mainly on the move command, which opens up the current tile pool. 1 tile must be placed every turn, though they don't necessarily have to be connected to any already existing tiles. Once a tile has been placed, you are given a Jolly Roger marker to plot your destination and receive a number of movement points equal to the number on the tile, with each rivet costing 1 movement point to cross. It's important to note that any leftover movement points will not be carried over to the next turn, meaning each new turn begins with 0 movement points. Combat works pretty much the same way as exploration, with players able to fight up to 3 enemies and lay up to 3 tiles per round. Battles take place on a 3x3 grid, with each crew starting at opposite ends. The top and bottom rows are laid out identically. To attack your enemy, you first must have to lay down a path to reach their side. Movement points don't exist in combat, but the numbers on the tiles are still important. Whichever side has the highest total gets to lay their card or attack first. Each character is assigned a type, based on their fighting style. Melee types like Zoro must reach the far row before they can attack, while range types like Usopp must stop at the middle row to attack and can only attack the enemy's ship. Then there are all-rounder types like Luffy that can use both melee and range attacks. Every character also has their own finisher and special moves that require you to use specific tile formations. The battle ends when one of the teams loses every crew member or has lost their ship. This section of the game requires twisting the Wonderswan vertically.
Wonderswan!
In total, there are 36 playable characters, including nearly every notable figure from the East Blue Saga. There are 4 different gameplay modes to choose from. However, the multiplayer modes don't work with the Wonderswan's link cable system. Instead, players must play on a single console and pass it round between them. Solo mode adapts the East Blue arc into 6 levels. There are some minor changes storyline wise. Luffy has the Going Merry ship from the very beginning, rather than acquiring it from Syrup Village for example, but otherwise there's no major deviations. Each level contains a mix of combat and racing missions, with cutscenes and dialogue adapted from the manga interspersed throughout. As an added bonus, once the 6 levels have been completed, an extra level is unlocked based on One Piece the movie. Each level is replayable, with playable characters able to be unlocked if a level is cleared within a set number of turns, so the game has a lot of built-in replay value. As for the multiplayer mode, players assemble their own custom crews and race each other across 8 separate maps. The combat and sailing mechanics are mostly the same as in solo mode, the only difference being that the enemy ships don't become visible until they occupy an adjacent tile. There are also checkpoint islands scattered throughout the multiplayer maps which trigger one of 3 minigames. Biggie a Blowout randomly selects one character from each player's crew to compete in an eating contest. Each player has 30 seconds to grab as many dishes as possible. Mihawk's Diversion selects one of each player's crew members to go up against Mihawk. And lastly, High Seas Showdown pits each crew against Full Body, Nezumi and Pudding Pudding. Players take turns shooting at a fleet of 30 marine ships trying to sink them all before they reach the finish line. Hyper Battle Mode supports up to 4 players and is an adaptation of the Cardass Hyper Battle system, which itself has a physical One Piece incarnation.
カードダスハイパーバトルテレビアニメワンピースセブンスステージ登場グランドボックスも
Lastly, there is the Strongest Pirate Challenge, which has players going against each other in teams again, this time with a more RPG feel. Each player puts together their own crew of 3 custom characters. Each character is given 100 points to be distributed across 3 attributes: offense, defense and agility. Players also choose one of 6 classes to assign to their characters: Pirate, Swordsman, Tactician, Civilian, Marine or Beast. Each crew then also gets to choose a companion from a pool of 13 canon characters: Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Alvida, Morgan, Buggy, Kuro, Krieg, Arlong, Smoker or El Dorago. Companions work by launching special attacks from the sidelines when certain conditions are met. However, the actual combat is an automatic process with barely any player input. Each crew member has a standard amount of HP and they take turns attacking each other. This continues until every member of the opposing crew has been wiped out. For such a small game, especially on a handheld console, the developers really made sure to cram in as much content as possible. It's a lot of fun and definitely worth checking out. For those that are worried about the language barrier, I'm going to leave a link in the description below for a project called VG Translate. This allows you to translate games on the fly using a terrific website and should only take about 5 minutes of your time to set up. Well, that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed hearing about the first One Piece game, remember to like, comment and subscribe. And if you have any thoughts about One Piece games or One Piece in general, feel free to leave a comment below. I'm hoping to cover every One Piece game eventually, so be sure to stick around and keep your eyes peeled for those in future. Bye for now!